Most producers are talented, but income is very unpredictable. And I hear you, I've been there myself. And the biggest problem is that most producers are accepting random clients, random pieces of work, and burnout is inevitable because it's unpaid work or it's very badly paid work. Today, I'm going to show you how clarity in positioning can actually frame you in a way that can create consistent income and turn your skill into a business that actually grows. Producers I work with transform their opportunities and their revenue simply by defining who they serve and what their value provides. We're going to talk about 3 steps: defining your avatar, positioning yourself in the market, and then pricing with confidence. I would love to transform your career as a music producer. So let's get into it. Let me share this screen and begin by talking about the problem with random gigs. Now, I'm using this as a term, gigs. I don't mean live music gigs. I mean, what kind of work are you accepting and why are you accepting it? Who are your clients? And I was very much stuck in that frame of mind where I was accepting anything that had a number on it that was paid $50 here, $150 there. And it was really unhealthy because every moment I was spending on that, which by the way was always a real big headache of a project, because somebody that's only got $50 is going to demand things as if they were paying $10,000. And it was distracting me from actually building the business I wanted to grow. So ask yourself, are you chasing every project, or are you strategically picking work that actually grows your business? I think that's such a big question to ask yourself, because I think in a sense it's a bit of a reality check. And there's nothing to be ashamed of just saying, I am totally doing the wrong thing here, because I was for years. Most producers do take random jobs. They pay small, they don't scale your reputation, and they eat up your time. Accepting work for the sake of money is a distraction from you and your goal. So you need to take the hit up front to create the ideal flow of clients and turn that into consistent revenue. It took me so much effort to literally get to the point where I was like, no, and I needed the money, but I spent that time. I was like, I know I would spend 20 hours on this job, so I'm going to make sure I definitely spend 20 hours worth of time on trying to build my business. And it really, really made a difference. It was only when I started saying no and spending that time, having to figure out life for a month or two, whilst I took the hit and built the business I wanted to build. It was only by going through that process I broke out of that process. No, broke out of the what's the word? Through the wall, over the hurdle to get to the next phase. So let's talk about creating your avatar. In order to say no to the wrong types of work, you need to know what is your right type of work. And I like to think of these as avatars. An avatar is your sweet spot, the type of clients or music that you excel and love making. If you love making it, trust me, you're going to build a good business because you're going to be really passionate about it. And that energy comes off. There's so many producers that I'm working with on a one-to-one level where the biggest problem isn't that they aren't good at what they do. It's just they're making sync library music because they think that's where there's going to be money. And off the back of that, the excitement and energy isn't there. So it's currently a failing business for a very fundamental reason. Creating and sticking to your avatar isn't about limiting yourself either. It's about being the go-to person in your area of expertise, people knowing you for a specific thing or recommending you for a specific thing. And you should be teaching artists and clients you work with this as well. These artists that you're working with, these clients that you're working with, they should have an identity that people know them for. People go and listen to Coldplay because they know what Coldplay are going to do and they're excited for it. They listen to Lewis Capaldi for the same reasons, or SZA or Kendrick Lamar. They have a brand identity. They're not trying to please everybody. You need to approach that the same way. So for me personally, I do singer-songwriter and cinematic pop/ballads really, really well. I also know that I add a little bit of world music into everything I do. So people know what they're hiring me for. They know what I'm really, really good at. They're not coming to me for heavy rock, guitar, power songs. I don't even know, or heavy metal tracks. Like I've defined who I am, and I never get inquiries for that, because I've defined it really, really well. And where I send people to check out my portfolio and my other work, etc. Like it's a really clear, defined type of person that they're going to work with. A producer, that's meant to say a producer I'm working with at the moment, Status Flow, his name is Maverick Quest, very cool name, has nailed his niche and is now seeing results working and charging, upwards of £2,000, $2,700 per track. And that was purely by niching. And he has gone one step further. He's only accepting EPs as well. So he's agreeing a price per track, but then he's grouping that into an EP so that he can make all of the workflow between all 4 songs, more efficient. The profit he makes and the amount of time that goes into each track is quicker because he's able to mix all the tracks at once, master them all at once. Each step of the way, each part of the process is much more efficient. And it all came by figuring out who the avatar was and what his offer was. So positioning matters. And positioning is how clients see you. Are you premium? Are you really quick at delivering tracks and that's what they're paying for? Are you good at solving problems on a creative level? Positioning drives pricing and trust. If they know exactly what they need from you, they will pay more. And if they know what they are looking for and maybe haven't been able to find it elsewhere, then people are going to be willing to have that conversation with you, and they're not going to be as shocked about the price. Imagine if someone was trying to sell you a new phone, but you didn't need a phone. Then when they told you it was $1,000, you'd be like, I don't need it, that's so expensive. But if you really, really needed a phone and you couldn't find one elsewhere and this was the perfect phone for all your needs, $1,000 feels very cheap and affordable, and it fixes a problem. So you look at it through a different lens. And I think that's really important to remember. I'm delivering this video to you, and I'm hoping you're a music producer watching this that is going through these very problems, and I'm hoping this is fixing your problem. And you need to kind of do exactly, well, you do need to do exactly the same thing for artists and clients. I really can't speak. Artists and clients that you are trying to serve. So position yourself as a trusted partner to potentially work with, and then you'll have less problems when you start talking about price, or less pushback when you start talking about price. And where are you pushing people to? Does that place represent how you want to be seen in the scene? What could you change to make that happen? So are you driving people to your Instagram page, and does your Instagram page reflect exactly what it is that you do and how you provide that service? So that if I stumble across you and I'm looking for a particular producer for my work, for my artist tracks, how long does it take for me to figure out what you even do, what you sound like, how trustworthy are you, how many people have you worked with, what is it that I'm seeing? And it doesn't have to be loads of content of you talking to camera like this. It can just be the top 9 posts that I land on and your bio description. What is on your profile that is telling me who you are? And if I'm wanting it, I'm going to stick around. Same with a website page. How long does it take for me to realize and work out who you are, what you do, for me to listen to some of your music, to read about what you offer and how the process goes? All these things are super important, and it's based around how you position yourself. So let's talk about pricing with confidence, because once you've got all of that positioning sorted, you trust me when I say, when you find the right people, and that's another problem, like getting the traffic to come and see you. But once you've found the right people, you're going to want to be able to charge the price confidently for the service and the very niche service that you're delivering. So your pricing is reflection of your positioning. Clear positioning equals confident pricing equals better clients. And when I put my prices up initially, this was 8 years ago, I was charging very little. I wasn't making a living off it. And somebody I spoke to said, you should just try doubling your prices and see what happens. And what was interesting is when I put my prices up, I was surprised I didn't lose the amount of inquiries or signing up new artists. None of that dropped. If anything, it made artists more committed to me as a producer because they needed it to work out. Because if you're spending, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 for a song, people want to know that they're going to get a service. They're going to commit themselves to that, so you don't get the types of artists that ghost you or that are a bit lazy with their feedback. You're going to get people that are really, really committed. And that, honestly, will change your whole business almost overnight. And I must stress, you need to stop undervaluing your work just to get the gig. I made a really big deal yesterday. It was £50,000 worth of work that was agreed, and that was split into 2 separate projects. One was 33,600 or something. This is in pounds. And then the other one was 16,200. And it was a big day. And actually, I had some pushback. They were trying to knock some of the price down by quite a large amount. They were trying to knock about 25% off the price. And I reminded them of the position that I was in and why working with me was the best option that they had. And I just reminded them of their pain points, what it was they were trying to solve, and why they weren't managing to find that elsewhere, and why I was the ideal person to be fixing those problems, which is why they came to me in the first place. They came back and actually thanked me. They actually thanked me more because of the fact that I was considering their options, considering who they were. I guess I gave them more trust and confidence because of the fact that I was able to repeat back to them what their problems were that we were going to solve for them, and the deal was done. You'd be surprised how easy it would be to just accept the 25% off because you're like, great, work is in, and I saved myself, £10,000 worth essentially, which is a lot, over £10,000, which is a lot of money just by pushing back, knowing my value, knowing what my offer was and what my proposition was, and then pulling that across the line. And that confidence is what gives them confidence as well. So I really want to remind you of that. Stop undervaluing yourself just to get the gig. Okay, some quick actionable steps for you then. Step 1, define who your avatar is. Write it down, pause this video, take a moment, think, who is my absolute ideal person? If I could only work with one type of person for the rest of my career, who would that be? Decide your positioning. And once you know your avatar, figure out what it is specifically you're going to offer to them. And it will come with a little bit of trial and error. The more people you speak to, listen to what their pain points are, listen to what their problems are they're trying to solve, and work that into your positioning. So we'll get to the example that I'm going to give you in a second, and I'll explain a little bit more as to why that's important. So step 3, align offers and pricing with that positioning. And the example I'm going to give you is define your avatar. Let's say you were an indie pop producer, and your positioning was that you want to work specifically with brands so that you can charge more premium rates because costs will be split between more people. That means that per person, it feels like a good offer, and focusing on spending time with each individual band member so that they all rave about the attention that you gave to them in the process. A lot of bands often feel that individually their roles, they weren't given the attention that they might have wanted to. Drummers often feel this because we can program drums so well now. The sound of MIDI drums is so good. If you've used Superior Drummer, I'm sure you'll appreciate how good it is now out there. So drummers often feel like the weak link in the band. So how do you include them in the process? And I would individually be speaking to those band members. I'd be speaking to them as a group, and then throughout the process, making sure that those individual members of the band were, the focus was on them, and then the ideas were filtered in through everybody else. So that would be the specific offer that I would give. And I bet there would be so many bands out there. I don't work with bands, but I bet there'd be so many bands out there that would be like, this guy knows my pains in the industry and why I sometimes hate going to the recording studios, because we all fall out about this and we fall out about that. Try and be the person that fixes those problems, and that's your positioning. And then I would position that at around $3,500 per track, and then only locking in EPs. So that in itself would be a $14,000 deal for an EP. That means you also have a bit of budget to maybe outsource the mixing, outsource the mastering whilst you were paying attention to the band experience. Or you could outsource the mixing and mastering because you've got the next project in line for you to start working on. So you start to have a chain effect of multiple projects working at once. And that is currently how I work. So that's an example. And that is the kind of thing you should write down for yourself and be like, I want these types of people, because you can never be too narrow. Honestly, when I started building out this course to help music producers, I was thinking, maybe I should teach Logic Pro because I know Logic Pro really, really well. And there's hundreds of thousands of people that want to know about how to use Logic Pro. Well, the truth is there's hundreds of thousands of music producers out there that also want to make a career in music. So by niching down, I'm able to speak directly to you and directly to the problems that I know you have. And it's the same for you with the artists that you work with. There will be a niche out there that you think only a handful of people out there care about this. But actually, I'd probably put you down as being, in the future, one of the most successful music producers in the course, because you can target that audience so specifically and what their additional hobbies are and other things that they like. It doesn't just come down to the music. Is it Jess Glynn that really loves football and talks about football a lot on her socials? And people love her for it. In fact, it gets her more fans and more followers because of the fact she talks about those things. So if you have a real niche genre of who you like to work with, you can tap into other things that you know that audience love and like about you as well. For me, it's travel. It's the reason why I have the bus as my logo still, because I really love traveling with music. It's made on the road. I'm not even in my studio. This is my portable setup that I bring everywhere. And I'm about to work on a huge international shampoo brand after this, because I am able to take everything I want with me, and I want to attract people that also want to do that. So hopefully that gives you loads of ideas on how to build the avatar for yourself, set up your positioning, and then very confidently price for that. If people fight back with the price, by the way, or kick back, and I think you need to just make a real conscious choice of, do you slightly price yourself higher so that you're willing to knock 10% off and it still comes down to what you want? Or do you want to position yourself in a way that like isn't just an undeniable deal? You know, you don't have to just knock money off for the sake of just getting the job, but you could just knock some off if you're like, this is the price, but if you want to lock into 3 songs, we can do this. So like create your own deal that you very confidently will be able to say to them on a call or in person. And then finally, a little bonus one here, try not to make the number that you come up with for the price that you want to charge as being like a straight like 1,000, because it feels like you've just plucked that number out of thin air. I would recommend, 1,350. That feels a lot more calculated. And then when you start breaking it down into like, you'll get your mix, you'll get your master, you get all the files presented like this. We're going to work our way through the process in this way. And I'm going to set you up with my portal system so that you can give all your feedback and track all of your projects in the same place. It's 1,350. You'd be like, sounds great, because I know what I'm getting and I can see there's a lot of value that I'm getting in that service. And 1,350 sounds like a calculated breakdown of that cost. So let's talk about something you can action today and leave this video with. If you want a personalized 12-month plan to solidify your foundation, hit the link below. There is a link to book a free call, and you and I will hop on a call together, plan that journey out. We'll go through the avatar that you create and your positioning. And then I will even look into, in fact, I think I have this as the next one. Yeah, you can send me through your landing page. And by landing page, I don't mean website necessarily. It can be your Instagram. It could be your TikTok. It could be your YouTube channel. It could be a Discord group. It can be anything that you want. But let's look at it and let's make sure that it feels aligned with your avatar, with your proposal, and then with the value, with the cost that you were going to charge for this. And you can leave that call for free with the 12-month plan. And if you want to talk more about the course, if you want to have this on a bit more of a regular basis, we can touch into that if you'd like to, but there's absolutely no pressure on that bit. I think that's everything for today. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope it's given you a lot to think about. Ultimately, I do want you to be able to leave these videos. Sorry, I'm just going to switch my camera back to full. I do want you to leave these videos with a lot of value in the sense of things you can action and things you can do. I don't want this to be a channel where you have to watch a gazillion videos in a random order to even start piecing together how it all works. And then obviously, if you join the course, there's a lot more extensive help. We've got templates that you can just go with straight away, sales calls, scripts, the whole lot. So if you're interested in that, do let me know. That's at the link below as well. That's it. Thanks for now. Bye for now. I need to go get a coffee, I think. Guys, look after each other, stay safe, and remember, never stop creating.